about to come in. Yeah, we're going to send you the audio as well. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to FFA headquarters for today's media conference with the FFA CEO, James Johnson. We'll start with some opening remarks by James, and then we'll open for questions after that. James.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the home of Australian football. Thank you for joining us. I'm in week 10 of the job, and I feel like we're in this room having these discussions far more than what I thought I would be. But these are the times we're in. These are unprecedented times, and we do appreciate during these times you coming to our offices for these announcements. What I'm here to do today is to announce and to inform you that FFA has taken a very difficult and tough decision to postpone the final rounds of the Hyundai A-League. The postponement is effective immediately. I'd like to stress that the FFA has arrived at this decision, and football comes to you today with a united voice. This is a unanimous decision of the FFA board, but it is also the unanimous position of each of the Hyundai A-League clubs. And the decision has been made in consultation, I should say, with the National Working Committee that we've established for coronavirus. That includes, in addition to FFA and the clubs, the member federations and also the PFA. The FFA will review this situation, this postponement of the league, in the coming weeks, and a further status assessment is now scheduled for April 22nd. I just want to make some remarks on the reasoning and how we've arrived not only at this decision but also the series of decisions that we've made in response to the virus. I want to go back actually to the first week that I started here, and I want everyone to remember that we've, as a sport, because of the global nature of our sport, we've actually been dealing with coronavirus since January. If you remember, our Matildas were supposed to go to Wuhan originally. We took the decision not to allow the girls to go to Wuhan. We took a decision to move, together with the AFC and FIFA, the women qualifiers for the Olympics to Australia. Okay, and then since then, we've had to take decisions such as closing or not allowing fans to enter A-League matches. We've taken decisions not to allow anyone but participants to play grassroots football. We've taken decisions to suspend grassroots football. We've taken decisions to increase the protocols on all clubs to ensure the players have been protected to date. And now finally, we've had to, and I say unfortunately, postpone the A-League, which effectively postpones football at all levels in Australia. Each time we've made these decisions, there's been 2 points that have been at the centre of our decision making. The first point has always been the well-being of our people, our community, our players in particular, our fans, our staff, our officials. This has been at the forefront of our thinking. And the second point is our civic duty as a code to be a responsible citizen and help the Australian community and support the efforts to slow down the spread of the virus. This is the second point. If I come back now to the league, the A-League, the rationale for this decision remains the same. We were comfortable taking the initial decision to allow the league to proceed, but we always did it on the understanding that this is a evolving virus. It's moving quickly, and we needed to be responsive at all times, and we needed to react quickly. We alluded in a public statement on Sunday that we were prepared, if necessary, to take tough decisions, to take difficult decisions, and this is precisely what we've done today. The decision, which was taken last night, announced this morning, was a result of the increased state and national requirements now, in particular the border controls that the states have implemented, and also New Zealand. And as a national competition, a competition that is played in almost all parts of Australia, it's also played in New Zealand, mission complicated became mission impossible. So let me just give a couple of messages to our stakeholders. And I want to start with the players, because the players and the PFA have been fantastic through this. We've worked very closely with the PFA. I've spoken directly with a number of players, and the way that they've conducted themselves to date has really been outstanding. I'd also like to thank the A-League clubs. The A-League clubs at all times have tried to ensure that the players are protected, and they have tried every way possible to ensure that football is played for as long as possible. And that's been done obviously in these extremely complex circumstances. I want to thank the fans. The fans have been excellent. The fans have continued to engage with the league, with the game, and we've seen that through our measurements, in particular when it comes to social media. To get so close to completing the season is certainly a disappointment, and just to miss out by a few short weeks is heartbreaking for the players, the clubs, and also the fans. In conclusion, I just want to say I've been out of Australia now for 10 years, a decade. I've been back for 10 weeks. But I've always been part of the Australian football community, and I think I know it well. And one thing I know about our community is that we are resilient. We're resilient as people, football people, and we're also resilient as a community. The game has existed since 1880 in Australia, and we've been through extremely difficult circumstances before. We've been through world wars, World War I, World War II. We've been through the GFC. We've been through financial crises. We've been through the Spanish flu. And the game has always come through because we are resilient. And that, to me, gives me great confidence that not only will this game survive, but we'll come through on the other side even in a stronger position. Just in closing, I want to say, and I want to turn our minds to the people that are suffering in Australia and also around the world as a result of this virus. And I want to say very clearly that the Australian football community stands with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, James. Open for questions, Tom.
James, you say for the review again in April, but all indications are that national restrictions on movement will just going to get tighter and last for quite a long time. At what point do the players lose match fitness? At what point do you say we have to say that season's finished?
Well, it's not now. We're optimistic, and we should be, I think, in these difficult circumstances. It is a postponement. We want to ensure that the players' mind frames are that the league will resume as soon as possible. But the reality is we don't know how this virus is going to move. It's been unpredictable. I think there's no certainty on how it's going to move. And I think our decision to postpone is certainly in line with other leagues around the world.
Vince?
JJ, the NRL said yesterday that they've received advice from their health consultants that the health of the players can no longer be guaranteed, and that's why they stopped. Were there any such concerns for football going forward around the health of the players being at risk if you were to continue notwithstanding the restrictions that you say have caused the pause?
No, the decision that we took last night was mainly due to the logistical issues as a result of the border controls. We have been in daily contact with the deputy CMO. We've also got our own CMO that's been giving advice. And if at any time there was a risk that the players' health and safety was a concern, then we would have stopped immediately. But that's not been the case.
So the health advice is still that you could have actually played, but if it was safe, unsafe.
There's no health advice that has told us that it is not safe for the players to play.
When is the latest the season can finish?
The latest the season can finish.
If you postpone, when's sort of the cut-off date? It has to be wrapped up by.
I don't want to get into that at the moment. I mean, we've got to sit down with the league, with Greg O'Rourke and the team, and again, we've got to look at what is happening, how is this moving, when is it possible to lift the postponement, and if it is possible and when it is possible, then we've got to really, I think, ask those questions or answer those questions at that point in time.
The NRL sort of said pretty canningly that they may not, financially may not survive, or certainly in the same capacity. How's FFA poised financially to cope with this crisis?
I don't think it's something limited to football or to sport. This is an issue for business around the world at the moment. It's true. There are going to be some difficulties all over the world financially. This is a reality. For Australian football, we will feel this. We will feel the financial pressure on the game at all levels. FFA will feel this. The clubs will feel this. The players will feel this. The game will feel this. Now, what will that impact be? We have to see. We have to see. Our focus right now and up to date has been on looking after our people and how we deal now as a code, as stakeholders within the sport, with the financial impact that coronavirus will have made. This is something that we'll be paying extremely close attention to from the closure of this conference.
I guess, are you confident that the game can survive in its current capacity?
The game will survive. This I'm absolutely sure. Will we need to make changes? Will things look different? I say yes. I say yes.
Adrian?
James, just in terms of, obviously, as far as the Olympics go, we've got 2 teams qualified for there, no nothing for the next year now. What does that mean for someone like Ante Milicic, who's just contracted for this year and is going to supposedly join MacArthur after the Olympics? Would he be able to do both jobs?
It's something we're going to have to sit down and look at operationally, first of all. And I don't want to talk about anyone specifically, but we have to look at our operations. And there are going to have to be some financial adjustments within FFA operations. This is obvious. I think this is a reality. What the specific ones are, though, this is something that we're going to be working through in the coming days. But what we have to do, our bottom line is we have to ensure that the organisation gets through this financially, and we also have to ensure that the stakeholders within the Australian football community can also do that. But this is going to mean that we're going to have to make some very tough decisions. Tough decisions that will affect our operations going forward.
James, what are your expectations from a broadcast revenue standpoint now around this decision? Can you outline what you're expecting and what discussions you've had with Fox Sports, for example, if any?
Fox are our partners. We've got a good relationship with Fox. We've worked closely with them through these difficult times. We've had to navigate by changing the schedule, by changing our protocols, and we've been in close contact with Fox in that regard. Fox have been informed that we're taking this decision, and that's where we are with that relationship. What happens going forward, that's a discussion that we're going to have with Fox, and we haven't had that discussion at this point in time.
Players have expressed a concern that Fox could tear up the rest of the TV deal if something like this was to happen. Have Fox given any undertaking that they won't do that?
Fox have only worked with us on the logistics of the competition events. We haven't got into any commercial discussions with them about what the impact of this decision will have. The reality is, for right now, we are unable to continue with the season. This is a reality. And I think that's reflective of other sports in the country. Now, that's where we are right now, and there's nothing further that we've needed to discuss with Fox at this stage.
Clinton?
James, is it possible that you may need to look at scrapping the Carter or pushing their introduction back a couple of years?
Look, at this stage, we're just trying to focus on, if it would be possible, completing the season, and that's what we're focused on. What happens next season, that's not our immediate focus. It's on ensuring that the mind frame of our clubs and our players are such that if the virus was to flatten and if government rules and regulations were to be lifted, that we would be able to resume the season as soon as possible. That's our immediate focus at this stage.
It's all about how it'll look different
sort of changes could we see at different levels?
I don't want to speculate on what could happen, but what I would say is, certainly in my view, whenever there is a crisis or a big challenge, I think we need to look for the opportunities. And there are things that we can improve in the game at all levels. And I think that once we get through this crisis, which we will, because we're resilient, then I think everything's on the table, and we need to look at how we can take advantage of the difficult position that the sport's in.
Include pay cuts for players potentially, or even incentives?
I can't comment on that, but I will say that as an organisation, FFA, we're going to need to make some difficult discussions to ensure that we're financially viable over the coming days, and we'll be making further announcements in this regard soon.
James, two things. First of all, given obviously the delay with the A-League now, is it practical to stage the FFA Cup, which will normally get underway in about 3 months' time? And secondly, as far as you were, have the Wellington Phoenix gone home yet, or in the process of going home? Do you have any regrets about them staying here?
No, there's no regrets, but Wellington will go home, and this was one of the key reasons we made the decision yesterday. We want to ensure that during these difficult periods that our players can go home to their families, just like you and I can. Wellington players will get home before New Zealand's rules on their border controls come into place. This will happen. On the FFA Cup, there's no football at the moment. Football is postponed, and FFA Cup is part of that decision. Can the FFA Cup be played? Again, we have to wait and see how this virus is going to move. If we're able to play the A-League in a month's time, in 2 months' time, I don't see why we couldn't resume the FFA Cup as well.
Last three questions, Vince.
This is throwing forward a little bit, James, but if the Olympics is postponed, do you expect there to be any changes on the men's side in terms of age group limitations? I mean, there's probably a lot of players who are 23 and under at the moment who have qualified for the Olympics and are heartbroken at that prospect.
I think that's a great question, and it's ultimately going to be a competition organiser question. In the Olympics, for the women, it's open. For men's, we have age restrictions, and I don't think the competition organisers have thought about in the past what it would mean if the Olympics were postponed for a year. I think this is a decision that the Olympics and FIFA are going to have to talk about, and I'm hoping that anyone that did qualify for the Olympics is able to become an Olympian. I think that's really important for the players.
Joe.
Logistically, it's been a bit different for you compared to the NRL and AFL with this international component. Is that a reason why it's taken a little bit longer to your announcement compared to theirs? And how has it been dealing with people who are so far away in terms of the Olympics and dealing with discussions with Matildas and the under-23s?
Yeah, it's again, I think we've got to look at how our code differs from other sports. You know, we're not just a league. We're a governing body. We govern football at all levels in Australia, and we're part of an international football community where there's 211 of ourselves that exist around the world. I think what we've had to do in the past 10 weeks is take decisions on a weekly basis, and I don't think the other sports have needed to do that. So this decision to close the A-League or postpone the A-League for the next few weeks, it's one of a series of decisions, and ultimately what we're all here for, what I'm here for, we're here because we love football, we love the sport, and we've really done everything we can to ensure that football is played for as long as possible, and that's been the feedback from the players, that's been the feedback from the clubs, that's been the feedback from the fans. So to answer your question, I say two things. One, it's a series of decisions that have been made over the past 10 weeks, and two, we've tried to keep the sport alive for as long as possible.
And just logistically for the Olympics, how difficult is that going to be as a governing body to handle obviously timings and everything like that?
We're going to have to sit down with Arnie and Ante and the national teams department and look at how the schedule is. We had agreed in my first few weeks on a fantastic national team calendar. This has blown it to bits, so we're going to have to sit down and have those discussions. Now, how do we plan for World Cup? How do we plan for the Copa America? How do we plan for the Olympics? These are all things that we're going to need to reshape now as a result of the virus.
Last question for Tom.
You talk about difficult financial decisions you're going to have to take in the weeks. Given that the league is officially over postponed, how do you and the club balance sustaining enough staff in theory to be able to switch it back on, even though I don't think anyone expects it to, but with also the fact that your revenues could be slashed?
Yeah, we have to consider that. At this stage, our focus and our mindset is that the league's going to resume. So that means that operationally, we're going to need to be able to run the league in the event that the virus flattens and it becomes manageable for us to resume. So operationally, that's what we're going to need to do, but we're going to need to balance that with the realistic position that the game is in financially. So it'll be a balancing act, Tom.
Is this a chance to, sort of every sort of 20, 15 years before this country always undergoes some sort of change? Is this a chance, do you think, maybe to reset where everything is in terms of football in this country? A chance to just sit back and say, all right, we can reset. Because obviously a lot of people talk about the A-League, where it was, where it is now. Is that a chance to sit back and say, okay, well, this is where we can get it to and set ourselves up for longevity?
I think everything's on the table. I think we need to discuss. I came here for this purpose. Corona aside, I think we need to talk about how we can do things better. And if this provides us a better opportunity to do that, I think we should take advantage of it.
William, sorry, Adrian.
Sorry, Adrian, I missed that. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think it will. It will delay that. I mean, right now, our focus is not on the governance structures of the A-League. We're working operationally extremely well with the A-League at operational level, and we're working extremely well with the A-League owners. It's working. It's working already. And I think we've demonstrated that through the unanimous decisions that we've been able to reach. And I must say this didn't happen in the past, and this is something that is happening now, and this is now the standard. So setting up those structures at the moment, yes, it's important, but at the moment, again, our focus is on being able to resume the competition if we're able to do that due to the slowing down and flattening of the virus.
Great. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, for coming today.